Hello everybody, welcome on in. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. I'm your host Nigel Seeley. Please hit the subscribe button. A lot of you joining us last week on the tennis coverage, both on the ATP and the WTA. But our magical machine shows that 50% of you haven't subscribed. So please hit the subscribe button. One of the 50% of the people who hasn't subscribed is our ATP Tour handicapper. It's Sean Calvert. Good afternoon, Sean.
I thought I had subscribed. I thought we'd been through this before.
It's a joke that never stops. It will just keep going and going and going. I like the joke, so I'm going to keep using it.
Fair
How
enough. Are you? No, don't deviate from a winning plan, I suppose. I'm all right if we can gloss over all the existential stuff that's going on. You know, West Brom about to be relegated to League One, all that sort of stuff. If we can move off from that, then fine. I mean, hopefully Sebi Corda will do the business for us later on, and that'll make me feel a little bit better.
Bad news is West Brom get relegated. Good news is you come over to mine and watch Bromley v West Brom. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That's actually quite good. I'll be up for that, to be honest.
And AFC Wimbledon. AFC Wimbledon as well. It'd be good.
It's just a bit sad.
And Leighton Orient. You've got Leighton Orient in West Brom as well. You've got three freebies.
They're going down again, aren't they?
You could have three freebies. It could be incredible for you. Could be
aren't
the
they going down
ever.
to League Two, Leighton Orient?
Nah, they'll be all right. If you have just joined the podcast, this isn't a lower league English soccer podcast. This is a tennis podcast.
It will be.
And we are on the verge of having a 13-1 winner. Sebastian Corda into the final tonight against Tommy Paul. I didn't bet the third. I missed the boat actually. I didn't bet the outright market, but I have bet him tonight. I thought he's odds against tonight. I thought it was
playing well.
Plus 110. I thought it was a big price.
Yeah, he's had a decent head-to-head against Tommy Paul. Obviously, by the time this goes out, he might well have lost, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But, yeah, two guys that know the conditions very, very well. Tommy Paul lives pretty locally as well, and so does Sebi Corda. So, yeah, it should be an entertaining game with the way those two play. Hopefully our guy will come out on top. He's, as I said at the start of the week, he has had a habit lately of losing matches that he should win, but hopefully this will be the one that bucks the trend because he is playing well. Now,
obviously, on the top of the show, you see the ticker running over, and that shows the P&L on Game Bet Match. It's obviously going to be a little bit different to that because we haven't added the Sebastian Corda because we have bet him each way, so we have got a return on that. So the profit and loss is a little bit different to what you see here. Another busy week, but finally, it's the last three tournament week of the year, which is it's a bit of a drag, isn't it? Really.
I think there's one in July, isn't there?
Oh, of this run. Sorry, I mean, of the month. We've got a bit of a run.
It's difficult, February. As I said before, a lot of favourites win. Again, looking at the hard court tournaments in particular, Doha and Delray Beach, there was barely an underdog winner there. It's often the clay swing that you get the underdog winners is, but quite oftentimes we can't talk about them matches because of the scheduling and certain times we've not been able to talk about those matches and we've had to talk about the hard court tournaments and they're the ones where the favourites are all winning at the minute. But yeah, February is always difficult. That's why I've kind of reduced the stakes a little bit on some of these bets because there's so much tennis going on across two or three different time zones. It's quite hard to keep up and you can easily get lost in a flurry of having too many bets. So it's a tricky month.
We have three tournaments, one in Dubai, one in Santiago in Chile, and one in Mexico where Sean Calvert will be going loco down in Acapulco. Another old joke that never ever. It's always good to use.
Either.
You always lose the loco in Acapulco. It's always good for a gag as well.
Have you seen the T-shirt by the way this week? By the way,
what do you got on there? What fashion?
This is Dubai a Dubai. No, I've never been to this tournament. By the way, this is a Dubai tennis, obviously tournament T-shirt. I got a job lot 4 for £5 off of Vinted. So if I'm wearing this on either Tuesday or Wednesday, it's not the same T-shirt. I've got 4 of them in the wardrobe. There you go.
Didn't they have your size?
They did have my size. Believe it or not, this is my size. There you go.
Okay.
Dubai. Where you're going, of course.
Yep, I'm heading off tomorrow. You can follow me on our socials at Because We Win in Dubai. I've been there. This is the third time I've been to this tournament. I like it.
Merch won't be a fiver.
No, I've never bought any merch there. The only good thing about it is they sell Stella in the venue. There's a lot of good things about it. The weather's the most good thing about it, but the good thing about going to the venue is in the Irish town they sell Stella and a nice pint of Guinness.
Do they do Magners?
Which is essential. I've never looked. I've never asked, but the Stella draft is very, very good. Anyway, you'll be able to follow more of that on our socials at Because We Win on Instagram. But we do have the tournament in Dubai, and let's start with those more important conditions and the weather. I don't want to gloss it in. I don't want to sort of gloss it over and make the point about it. But it looks absolutely glorious for the next week.
Yeah, of course it does. When I go to Miami, I'm sure it'll be hammering it down. But yeah, Played on a quickish deco turf, a hard court that does get colder and slower at night. The balls fly a bit during the day. Wind is often an issue. Rain certainly isn't, but wind can be. Centre court tends to play a little bit slower than court one in recent times. You'll probably be more familiar with actually being there. Well, I haven't been there, and you obviously have a few times, so you probably noticed that. Got some good quotes from last year. Alex de Minaur said it's very different conditions coming from Doha here to Dubai. It's a lot warmer here, and the conditions are a lot quicker. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to these conditions. So that's a problem for players that come directly from Doha to Dubai. The conditions are different. If you look at the last 3 editions since they started, I think they started using Dunlop ATP balls in the last 3 editions. Pretty quick, the stats. 82.9% holds, 73.1% first serve points won. That does make it a decent pace, but you do get quite a bit of swirling wind there, as you probably have noticed yourself, and obviously night matches tends to bring the stats down as well, because it does get quite a lot slower, and quite a few of the matches are played at night. So it's a quickish court, but you've got to bear in mind what time the matches are being played. Over 10.5 in set 1, 33% of those have gone over 10.5. That's odds of around about $3 if you wanted to take that bet. And not a great one for underdog winners. Only 28% have won on average here in the last 13 editions. The underdog P&L isn't terrible. That's because, although it's not been many underdog winners, there have been the occasional one that pops up knocking out a Djokovic or a Federer, like we saw last week in Doha with Mensik knocking out Sinner. There's been a few of those pop-ups. The underdog P&L is down, but only by about $58 in the last 10 editions. As far as the weather's concerned, do you want to do the weather? Let's gloss over that, shall we?
I just need to check out what factor sun cream I need to take, whether I take... Go on, you tell me, I'll just check the sun cream.
Yeah, you see if you've got it in stock. Between 27 and 29 all week. I've just put sometimes a bit windy. So I think you can handle that. That'll be quite pleasant, actually, to sit in the stands. If it's too hot, you get a little breeze there. Conditions sound perfect. The trends, we've got some decent trends here. The number 1 seed has only won Dubai once in the last 8 editions, and only Daniel Medvedev in 2023, since Roger Federer in 2005, when Doha was played in January, have won Doha and Dubai back-to-back in the same season. Qualifiers have made either the semis or the final in 3 of the last 5 editions, so keep an eye on the qualifiers. And 3 of the last 5 runners-up were priced between 40 to 1 and 200 to 1.
Just going to pick up a couple of points you mentioned there. I mean, the court here is right in the sunset. It's very similar to Miami. I did say this on the WTA show last week, but if you haven't watched the show, I was explaining. The court is half in the sun and half is in the sun in the main court, but the outside court is in the real full blazing sun, and it's open up to the elements, and it is much quicker. I saw Talon Grigspor play there, and it was a 7-6, 7-6 match. I saw another match on the outside court, and it was a tie break as well. So look for the scheduling of play. If you are playing the overs and over 10.5, I would suggest that the court number 1, it would be much profitable to bet the overs than on the centre court as well. Yeah. And as Sean said, it does get colder in the evening, and the matches go on through the evening as well. So head there across there, and I say if you want to follow my adventures, you can on our Instagram. Let's have a look at some of the previous winners here. 2025, it was won by Stefanos Tsitsipas. He won the tournament here, beat Alejandro Davidovich in the final. Ugo Humbert won in 24, Medvedev 23, Rublev in 2022, Karatsev 21, and then we did the big guns, Djokovic in 20, Federer 2019, Andy Murray and Stan Wawrinka as well, sandwiched between the two of them. Roberto Bautista are good. And this isn't always a tournament, over the years that has always attracted the big names. They must get paid good prize money to turn it. But it's a real... I'm not very excited by this entry list this week. It's a poor looking, isn't it, really?
Well, it depends what you mean by poor looking.
Well, I mean by, you in the past, I've seen Djokovic here, I've seen Sinner here. I just think, the number 1 seed this year is Felix Auger-Aliassime. Dubai, you would think they would attract the bigger names of tennis. Doha had the top 2 in the world. They apparently rumoured they've paid them $1.5 million appearance money to play there. But Dubai, you would have thought they would have tried to attract the bigger names. It doesn't really. It's a great tournament to go to, but I'm a bit disappointed with the lineup. I
think it might be potentially something to do with the fact that it's closer to Indian Wells, and therefore the really top guys would prefer to have this week off and then head over to Indian Wells, would be my guess. unless Doha has just ramped up the appearance fees so high that Dubai can't compete. But I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of who runs the tournament and where the money's coming from. But my guess would be that Doha is just easier on the schedule for someone like Alcaraz, just so that he can have that week off, get over to Indian Wells nice and early, and get acclimatised to the weather. It's still a pretty good field. Certainly better than some of the tournaments I've been at over the years. So yeah.
Well, it's a 500, but let's have a look at the field here. I mean, this is the projected last 8 if it went to the seedings. Felix Auger-Aliassime is the number 1 seed, who will play Jiří Lehečka. But Lehečka starts off in a first-round match against Artur Fils. You also have Denis Shapovalov in that quarter as well. So it's quite a difficult Q1 and a very tough opener for Lehečka, and probably the match of the first round. Medvedev will play Khachanov, and an all-Russian affair if it gets to the quarterfinals. Wawrinka is in that section. Zizou, Bergs as well. Lots of Russians in attendance here in the crowds. Lots of Russians. So the Russian players might do well this week. Another Russian is in the bottom half of the draw. Andrei Rublev, a former champion. He always does well here. He will play Stefanos Tsitsipas in round 2, who he beat last week. We've got Randanek, Marozsan and Rinniklic. And Jack Draper is making his comeback. The Brit might be a little bit too early for him, but he's in the draw as well, which is great news for British tennis and for Wimbledon. Jakub Mensik, who beat Sinner last week, he has a tough match against Hubert Hurkacz, over 28.5 games. Total is guessing that one. And then you have Alexander Bublik in the bottom half there, and he'll play Talon Griekspoor. I'm sure I watched Griekspoor v Bublik here in that match. I think it's Bublik.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Griekspoor won.
Yeah, it was a tie-break. Yeah, I watched that game. That was on the outside courts. That's when they came. I watched a couple of years back. So that is your draw. I think the bottom half has got to be a little bit is easier than the top half. Let's have a look at the odds first, though. Let's have a look at the odds first before we go into that draw. I forgot that bit. Most important bit of the show, and I forgot it. Felix Auger-Aliassime is plus 390. Alexander Bublik is plus 550 with Bet Rivers. Medvedev plus 650. Jack Draper to mark his comeback with a win, plus 950. Jakub Mensik plus 950. Andrei Rublev, I like Rublev this week, plus 1050. Artur Fils plus 1050. Lehečka 12. Khachanov 17. Ugenberg 17. Hurkacz 18. Tsitsipas 18. Denis Shapovalov 18. And 25 to 1 bar those players. What do you like in the draw, Sean?
You've just done it. Rublev.
I like Rublev, yeah. I like Rublev.
Yeah, I think Q1 is low. Well, I've written down Q1 is loaded, but it's slightly less loaded now because Tomas Majchrzak has literally just pulled out within moments of us going on air here, which makes it slightly less loaded. But you've still got the likes of Felix, Shapovalov, Artur Fils, Lehečka. That's just in Q1. Any of those could make the final. You wouldn't be surprised if any of them players made the final. I think Q2 looks slightly easier in terms of the likelihood of who's going to win it. Medvedev or Khachanov seems pretty likely. It doesn't look like it's going to go any differently than that. Khachanov played great last week against Alcaraz, a little bit unlucky to lose in the end. Medvedev, he will want the day matches, but it's hard to see the likes of Shang, Wawrinka, Bergs, Brooksby. It's hard to see those guys causing an upset, really. I would suggest it's between either Medvedev or Khachanov, and you would have to favour Medvedev on their head-to-head, but maybe the slight value on Khachanov there, 16 to 1 potentially. But he tends to go well when we don't bet him. He played awful, really, in Rotterdam. I know the conditions were a little bit stodgy for him. And then you could look at that match Khachanov played against De Jong and Munar, and then compare that with how he played against Alcaraz. I mean, just chalk and cheese. But anyway, Q3, Rublev for me looked very, very good in Doha last week. Unlucky not to take at least a set against Alcaraz. Could have taken either of those 2 sets that he lost. And what I like about Rublev, I've criticised these players in the past, Rublev being one, Khachanov being another, for not coming to the net more. And he started to do that now, Rublev. He started to do it at the end of last season. He still doesn't like it, I don't think, but he's doing it a lot more. And it's benefiting him. I've said so many times, these players like Rublev, Khachanov, Fritz, when they're ahead in the rally, they don't come into the net and finish the point off when they can. Instead, they just think, well, I'll sit another one and another one and another one. And you lose your position in the rally. And it's a good thing for me that Rublev is starting to do that now. His record here is really good. 17 wins, 5 defeats, won it in 2022, final in 2023. You'll remember this. He defaulted in the semi-final in 2024 against Bublik. I think he had a go at the linesman, if I remember rightly. Yeah, that's linesman. I'm getting my sports mixed up. line judge. He certainly had a row with that person and got defaulted. Good record against Humbert, who he would potentially play in the second round, or Tsitsipas. He beat Tsitsipas, as you said, last week. Good record against him, generally in recent times. You would think that Draper is not ready for this. You would think he might win a couple of rounds, but it's asking a hell of a lot for Draper to come and go into the final, considering he's played one match since last summer, really. And you would imagine Rublev will want revenge over Bublik for that default here. And he has a 5-3 lead in completed matches against Bublik as well. You would think if it gets that far to a semi-final, you would imagine you'll probably be able to tell me better, but you would think that'll be a night match. A lot of the matches later in the tournament tend to be night, don't they?
Yeah.
So you would think a night match would favour Rublev, slightly slower conditions over a Bublik as well. So I think Bublik has got a lot of upside in that quarter. Q4, you would think the winner of Mensik and Hurkacz will probably play Bublik, you would think, unless Greek Sport has a good week. So I think it's a good situation for Rublev. So I'm going to take him each way. I think he's about 10.5, isn't he? Looking at the graphic, yeah. 10.5 to 1, that is, isn't it? So each way on Bublik, you tell me what the stake should be on that.
We'd have a half each way on Bublik at 10.5. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just not jot that down. Yep, okay, that's me. Half a point.
Half unit each way. Andre Rudik plus 10.50 to win the tournament in Dubai. And like I said, and there's a lot of Russian people living in Dubai. A lot of Russians turn up at this event. So the Russian players are always very, very, very heavily supported in this match as well. They don't really get a big opportunity to see many of their stars worldwide, but they do turn up in Dubai as well. So that's another factor for the Russian players who do well here in Dubai. Let's move on to two matches that we have to preview. Our first match is a close match between Alexei Popyrin and Kamil Majchrzak. Majchrzak is the marginal favourite, Bet Rivers minus 123. Popyrin minus 109. Spread is 1.5. Total here is 23.5. Whole host of markets there. Set betting, set spreads. There's about 50 different markets available on the Bet Rivers app, which you'll be able to live stream this match as well. I thought Popyrin played quite well last week in his defeat against Sinner. Took it to him. Played quite well in patches. Majchrzak got beat by Fils, and he played quite well as well. If you're looking at the head-to-head for any guidance, well, it's not much of a guidance. One win apiece in this match. Pick 'em match. Sean, I find it's difficult to find much angles, but you've got an approach you like here.
Yeah, I like Popyrin here. He grew up in Dubai. He's basically from Dubai. He's played an awful lot of tennis at this venue. He was even a ball boy here, going back many, many years. Lives here some of the time. He's got property here. I think he met his fiancée here as well. He's got huge connections with Dubai. He's been a little bit unlucky in the singles matches that he's played here, actually, over the years. He's won 3 and lost 4, but his service points won and return points won total is 104. And he has lost two of those 4 defeats. He's lost in final set tiebreaks. And on another occasion, he lost to a very informed Marin Cilic, which was also in 3 sets. So he has been a little bit unlucky. His level, as the stats would suggest, of a 104 total is not really showing what he's done. He should have done better than that. He's been a little bit unlucky, as I said. Won the doubles here last year. Did Alexei Popyrin. Obviously lives here, trains here at least some of the time. He's obviously got other properties as well. But he certainly knows the conditions, I would suggest, better than pretty much anybody in this field. Majchrzak's never played here, certainly in the main draw. So he's going to have to get used to conditions that he's not familiar with. If you look at the stats over the last 12 months on outdoor hard at main level, their service points won and return points won totals are exactly the same on 101. The only difference is Popyrin, again, has been losing matches that he shouldn't lose. He's only got a 42% win rate, whereas Majchrzak's got a 60% win rate. So Majchrzak's been perhaps overperforming and based on the stats, and Popyrin underperforming, certainly, on the stats that he's produced. He's been playing okay, but not winning, as you said. He played pretty well last week. He's had some tough draws as Popyrin. Felix is one, Sinner another one. He's difficult ones, Korda, Bublik, Acapulco. These are all recent first-round matches that Popyrin's played. This one's tough as well, of course, but it's winnable, and I think there's a slight bit of value on Popyrin based on the fact that he's very, very comfortable here. Statistically, there's nothing between them, and he does have that advantage of being super familiar with this place. So A little bit, half a point on Popyrin here at was he -109? I think he is for Bet Rivers at the minute.
Yep, -109. Alexei Popyrin is our bet. The order of play is to be confirmed. We don't know when it's going to be, but it'll be in the first round across either Monday or Tuesday. And Bet Rivers will have you covered on all these matches. You'll live stream on the Bet Rivers app if you place a wager. Our second match to look at in Dubai is a match between Zizou, Bergs and Jenson Brooksby, the American, big serving American. And the American is the favourite here at -143. I'm not really convinced why that he should be -143. Zizou Bergs is +109, spread 1.5. Total here is 22.5. The pair of them have never played before. Brooksby got beat in the first round in Doha by Lehechka, and Zizou Bergs come through a couple of rounds. He'd come through one round, got beat by Lehechka as well. You know, he's the same person who beat Brooksby, but he beat Petri Perigard in round one. I'm not convinced by Zizou Bergs being such a dog here.
I think it's just because of a slight injury worry. I think that must be the only reason, because there's no statistical reason or form reason for him to be this price. -143, Brooksby.
Yeah.
Not for me. I mean, if you look at the last 12 months and outdoor hard at main level, Bergs, 54% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 101. Brooksby, 48% win rate and a total of 99. So on the bare stats, you would make Bergs favourite. You'd probably have this the other way around. Problem with Brooksby is he gets very little from his first serve. Only 68% first serve points won over the last 12 months on outdoor hard at main level. Bergs, 73%. Much bigger. 68%, it's not enough from Brooksby. And on a court, which, I mean, you might want to look at the schedule, but I wouldn't have thought this would be on centre. It's got court one, outside court written all over it. On a quick court, more suited to serving, and with return numbers in Dubai being lower than average, it doesn't look a great situation for Brooksby. It tends to favour the first strike tennis, the bigger servers. And Brooksby is number 93 in the world in the last year in the ATP's shot quality stats. Bergs, I think that's serve quality, actually. Yeah, I think that is serve quality. That's a typo. He's number 93 in the world in the last year in the ATP serve quality stats. Bergs is number 50. Just for context, if you look at the others around number 93 in the world, you've got Baez, Nishioka, Dan Evans, Mute, and Gaston, all extremely weak servers. And Brooksby is right in there, in the middle of that lot. So his first serve is doing nothing. If we now look at recent form, very recent form, 2026 at main level, Bergs 50% win rate and a total of 100. Brooksby 20% win rate and a total of 93. So there's nothing in any stats, in any form, that would make Brooksby favourite. The only worry, and perhaps the reason why he is favourite, is that Bergs didn't look particularly happy in that match against Lehechka with a right bicep issue. So you are taking a little bit of a chance, injury-wise. But assuming he's fit, then that is a decent price. It's worth a half a point investment, I think. Brooksby for me, too short. We're just going to have to hope that Bergs is fit.
Yep, going with Bergs there. Bergs at a price that we just can't overlook, +109. We believe without any injuries, it should be the other way round. We do have 3 tournaments before we go into our second tournament in Acapulco. Just a reminder of the Bet Rivers teaming up with Betting Weekly offer on the Champions League promo. If you bet with Bet Rivers in New York or New Jersey, you can take advantage of a Champions League bonus bet with Betting Weekly. Enter the bonus code BW216 for a $10 bonus bet to use on the Champions League knockout round matches. That code again is BW216, and it's available to Bet Rivers bettors in New York and New Jersey. Offer ends on February 25th. You must be 21 or over. Eligible players only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE, HOPENY. Okay, let's move on to our second tournament this week, where the weather conditions are equally as good. Over in Acapulco in Mexico, a tournament that I would love to attend. I would love to go over here, maybe one day on the bucket list. Sean, what do you got for me over in Acapulco conditions? Weather looks great.
It does. Well, great. I mean, it's probably too great, actually. It's very, very hot and humid here. They play on a Solflex outdoor hard court, which is very slow and bouncy. They play a lot of the matches at night to avoid the heat of the day. It's pretty tough conditions with the heat and humidity. They changed the balls to Dunlop ATP last year, and there were only 74.5% holds and 68.6% first serve points won. Those are clay-like statistics. Although weirdly, there were a lot of tie breaks last year, 54% in 2025. That doesn't really make any sense when you compare it to the stats. And strangely, set one over 10.5 games was 46% as well last year. But I think it's to do with that it's certainly not quick. It's to do with people breaking and re-breaking all the way to a tie break. It's not quick conditions by any means. It's pretty slow. That 46% is double all the other editions of Acapulco. So I think that was an anomaly. But one thing that isn't an anomaly is the unders. If you were an overs unders better, most of the time I don't mention it because it's like 51-49 or 50-50. This is 56% under, excuse me, in the last 5 editions, which would suggest that, the heat and humidity, as soon as someone's going to break down, a lot of the time they've kind of jacked it in a bit and gone for the second set. So if you're an overs unders backer, you would be looking at unders. The weather, as you said, hot, 31 to 32 degrees every day. Doesn't vary at all. There's no issues with the weather as far as I can see, apart from the heat. As far as the trends are concerned, there's only been one top seed winner of this tournament since it switched surfaces from clay to hard in 2014, and that was Rafael Nadal when he won it in 2020. So poor record for the top seeds. The number 1 seed has actually only made the final 3 times in the 12 editions on hard courts, and no qualifier has ever made the final here.
Number 1 seed this week is Alexander Zverev, so we have to overturn those trends there. It is a 500 event as well. Let's have a look at the previous winners. 2025, Tomas Mahak, man, and sometimes see Alexandra Davidovich Fokina's name in the runner-up section, but he was the runner-up here last year. Alex de Minaur won it in 2024. Alex de Minaur won in 2023. Nadal in 2022. Alexander Zverev in 21. Nadal in 10 in 2020. Kyrgios in 2019. Juan Martín del Potro 2018, Sam Querrey 2017, and Dominic Thiem in 2016. If we're looking at the draw, and this goes the way of the draw, it will see the top half will see Alexander Zverev face Cam Norrie, who will relish the conditions, but he's got Ordar, isn't it, in the first round, the young Spanish player, who I can never pronounce. How do we pronounce it again? Hodar. Yeah, he's got Hodar in the first round. That'd be a very interesting match there. Probably. Now, Cam Norrie might even be favoured for that one.
Cam Norrie's favourite, about 1.65-ish, I think.
All right. Okay. Second quarter, Casper Ruud against Flavio Cobolli, who has got to travel from... Where did he play last
Delray.
week? He played Delray, but a bit of not too far, I suppose. TFO in the bottom half of draw against Davido Fokina, and Vachereau against Alex de Minaur. And these are the odds. Alexander Zverev 2-1. Then trends against the number 1 seed. Would not be seeing me betting him at 2-1. Alex de Minaur in good form, plus 225, but again, very short. Davidovich Fokina, the runner-up king, plus 750. Casper Ruud, $9. Cobolli, 11. Vachereau, 15. Dimitrov, 16. Cam Norrie, 18. Spizzeri, 20. Manarino, 25. Kovacevic, 25. Adam Walton, 25. And 30-1 bar those players, including in that 30-1 list, Sebastian Korda, who could go here as the champion in Delray Beach.
Yeah, I mean... unlikely for Korda to back it up, you would think. I mean, assuming he wins Delray, which I hope he does. He's not one known for his great stamina and fitness a lot of the time. I'm going to take a chance here on the perennial runner-up, Mr. Davidovich Fokina.
Wow. That is brave. This is brave. This is certainly something you've got to hedge if you're in... I don't like hedging. I've never, ever been a man to ever hedge anything. But if Davidovich Fokina is in the final and I am holding a $7 or plus...
If he's serving for the match.
I'm hedging.
I don't blame you. If he's serving for the match, just either go and hide behind the sofa for 5 minutes, or just probably a more sensible idea would be to back the other guy in that situation, yeah. He's got to win one eventually, doesn't he? He's got to. He's not going to do the Julian Benito of losing in 9 finals or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, Q3...
As Mick McCarthy used to say, can't go on like this. It can.
Yeah, maybe it can. Hopefully it won't. I mean, Q3 does look a decent place to be for him in the draw. I mean, Davidovich did beat TFO a year ago en route to the final. He may well have to do it again. You would fancy him to do so. He should be beating Altmaier. If he plays Korda which you would think he probably would. Korda will be pretty fatigued and probably a little bit injured by then, as he tends to be after a strong week. Seb Korda, not the strongest physically. He's fresh, Davidovich Fokina. He's done this well, actually. He's skipped Delray Beach. He could have played Delray Beach, where he had to defend final points, because that was another one he should have won last year. Lost to Kekmanovic in another ridiculous loss that he managed to do. But he's got points to defend. He'll have to defend them here instead. Recorded a service points won and return points won total of 105 here last year. And the obvious sticking point is Diminor. But he has beaten Diminor 3 times from their 6 meetings. And he, again, should have beaten him in the Washington, D.C. final in July. Another one that he managed to lose from a winning position. Final set tiebreak, I think that was. So he's certainly got the game to beat Diminor. The head-to-head is pretty close on the stats. I've excluded next gen. It's 101 to 99 basically to Diminor, but that's about as close as it gets. Diminor is the obvious and clear danger, but he has a great record here. But he didn't play here last year, and I think that's because when he has played and won this in recent years, I think it was 23 and 24, he's turned up to Indian Wells absolutely done. And he's often struggled at Indian Wells, lost in the first or second round, because he's put such an effort in because of the way he plays to win in these hot and humid conditions. He's turned up to Indian Wells and he's got nothing left. So last year he didn't play here. I wonder, having won Rotterdam, I do wonder if he's here for the appearance fee. I do wonder. We'll see. This could be completely wrong, but if he's to win this again, Diminor, he's going to have the same problem that he had in those years, i.e. turning up to Indian Wells with nothing left. And, Indian Wells is a massive tournament and one that you would think would prioritise. So, a few conspiracy theories and a little bit of hope, and we're going for Davidovich Fokina.
A little bit of luck, a little bit of hope. Every time we tip him, I remember when I told the security guard in Miami that I was Davidovich Fokina's fitness coach.
Yeah.
Which I still can't believe I got away with as I was making my way to the Stella Bar.
You convinced him,
and a hot dog in hand. It was incredible. I couldn't believe I did it, but I did. We have one match which we are going to break down in Acapulco.
Can you do the points on that one? So what are we going to do? Half a point each way, or?
Yeah, let's go half a point each way. Yeah, go half a point each way.
Sorry, go on.
Plus 750. I think 750 warrants half a point. I think it was like 25, 33 to 1, maybe a quarter point, but half a point is 750. We have one match in Acapulco. We don't know the order of play. We do know it's a first round match, probably across Monday or Tuesday. Obviously, this will be later start, so you won't have to rush across to the Bet Rivers app, unlike Dubai, which will start earlier. This will be more on Central Time or Eastern Time, so you'll be okay with that. It's a game between Gael Monfils and Damir Dzumhur. Monfils is minus 227, plus 165 Dzumhur. Spread 3.5 total. Here's 22.5. All your usual markets available. Looking at the head-to-head record, 3-1 to Monfils, and perhaps the reason why he is that price. But he's at the twilight of his career. He's down to 170 in the world rankings compared to Dzumhur's 62. And he did get beat by Dzumhur in 2023, the second from last time. The last time they met, he won in Shanghai, Monfils. But at his age and this stage of his career, I mean, minus 227 is a very, very short price for Gael Monfils. And I could also imagine, I'll tell you this other thing, his wife was in the final in Dubai at the weekend, and I'm sure he was there watching her. So that's a
long
bit of a
journey
trek for him, isn't it? It's a bit of a trek from him, yeah.
It is. I mean, is this just a farewell tour for Gael Monfils? That's the question. It certainly looks like it at the minute. Obviously retiring at the end of this season, I believe he said. Withdrew from the Golden Swing, all of it. He was supposed to play it. You can see why he wanted to play it. Again, it is a farewell tour, basically. Couldn't play it due to illness. That's all the tournaments he was supposed to play. Certainly, I think he was playing Buenos Aires and Rio, certainly. I'm not sure about Santiago. Before that all happened, he had a foot injury, Monfils. So he's only actually played 2 matches since last September. And he lost both of them to Sweeney at the Australian Open as a decent favourite, and also to Marijan. So he's only played twice this season. He said, just ahead of Rio, he said, "I'm very sad to withdraw from the Rio Open. I did everything I could to recover, but unfortunately I am battling a virus that is severely affecting my health and preventing me from travelling, although obviously not to Dubai." For
I'm
now,
not 100% sure of that. I know his wife was in the match, but I think I read somewhere that he was there, but don't. Someone will message us and tell us in the groups he was, but that's bear thinking about that he may have been over in Dubai.
possibly, yeah. But I mean, he says he can't. He says he can't travel, so I'm not sure about that. Anyway, the rest of the quote is that he said, "For now, my priority is my health, and I need time to recover so I can return to the court." So you wouldn't have thought he would have been practicing that much if he's in a severe health situation, which prevents him from travelling. And he says he's got to recover so that he can return to the court. I don't know whether he means the match court or the practice court. I can't imagine he's been practicing that much. If you've ever seen Gael Monfils practice at tournaments, by the way, it's not the same as everyone else practicing. Just does a few tweeners, sort of, a few bits and pieces, mucks about for a bit, and then goes inside. Not the greatest practicer. And Dzumhur will make this, a physical test for sure. In what are very hot and humid conditions, which is going to be extremely difficult for Monfils at this very, very late stage of his career. Monfils has lost 9 of his last 10 main level matches. He's got a service points won and return points won total of 97 in those matches. Dzumhur's not better in terms of statistics. His total's 95, which is just a couple of points lower. It's not much of a gap, but at least he's won 3 out of his last 10. The head-to-head favours Gael Monfils, but it is very old, and he's not that player anymore. I think it's a difficult one for the books to price because we just don't know what we're going to get from Gael Monfils. It's going to have to be lean, I think, but it's going to be Dzumhur certainly on the money line. If you want to take a chance, I think certainly bet Dzumhur. I think we are just guessing as to what Monfils has got left in the tank. I don't think it's very much, so it would be Dzumhur there for me.
Yeah, plus 165 also could be one that if it goes into a final set, may have a rebase in play with the age of Monfils getting hot conditions. It could churn out. We need to see the scheduling, especially if it was on the outside court. Need to see the scheduling of that. You'll be able to find that on the Bet Rivers app for tomorrow as well.
I've
now,
got one
moving
more
on
thing to add. Sorry, mate. If I just
okay, no problem.
can just interject. It's my own fault. I didn't say about the underdog winners in Acapulco. It's poor. It's one of the reasons I don't have too many bets in Acapulco. It runs at 28%. Underdog winners, which is similar to Dubai. Santiago is normally the best one of this week, so I forgot to mention that. Sorry.
So we may have saved the best to last. Santiago is the 250 over in Chile, where the underdogs do have a good chance, and Sean has picked a couple of matches for us to discuss there. Before we go into those matches, let's have a look at the key trends and the weather again. I'm like a broken record, but I can imagine it being nice in Chile as well. Not chilly in Chile, but hot in Chile. Not hot chili peppers, but hot in Chile. Anyway, you know what I mean.
I do, and you're right. I mean, it's played at almost 1,000 meters of altitude, so it's a little bit quicker than the usual sea level clay tournaments, such as Buenos Aires and Rio that we've just watched. Again, they use the same balls, Wilson balls. I think they're Wilson Roland Garros, the same as Rio and Buenos Aires. They don't change the balls here anymore, like they used to. You can see it averages more than what I just said about Acapulco. This is 77% holds and 68.8% first serve points won. If you base it on last year's Acapulco, that makes Santiago quicker. Not too many tie-break matches, though. Only 35% of the matches have featured a tie-break in the, I think it's 5 editions they've played so far. Again, over 10.5 games in set 1. It doesn't work out the same as places like Gstaad and Kitzbühel and even Madrid. Although it is at a similar altitude, it doesn't seem to produce the same number of sort of tie breaks and over 10.5. Over 10.5 in set 1, only 27%, which would equal odds of about plus 270 if you wanted to use that particular bet. But underdog winners, it averages 37% in all the matches in all the years, but round 1 in particular is 40%. So that would make sense given that the players are coming from very, very different conditions in Rio to here. The underdog P&L is actually down 126.37 in the 6 editions there's been so far. So there have been quite a few underdog winners, but they've not always been the best odds, would be my assumption from that. Weather, as you said, hot, 30 to 32 degrees all week. Nothing particularly exciting there. They had quite a few power cuts here last year, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. The trends, the number 1 seed has only made the final here once so far. All of the last 5 winners, I don't know if it's 5 or 6, I keep getting this wrong. It's either 5 or 6. All of the last 5 winners were priced between 5-1 and 8-1. So generally short price winners here. And 9 of the 12 finalists so far here in Santiago have been South Americans.
Yep, and look at the list of previous winners, and you can see some real clay dogs who have done well in this tournament. Here are a list of the winners. Laszlo Jerry won it last year, beat Sebastian Baez. Baez won it in 2024. He's been in great form, beat Alejandro Tabilo, the home player. Nicolas Jarry won it for the Chileans against Tomas Echeverry, the runner-up. Pedro Martinez in 2022. Sebastian Baez again. Christian Garin, another Chilean, done well against Facundo Bagnis. And the Brazilian, Thiago Seymour beat Casper Ruud in the final. So it's all about clay dogs there. And this is the all-important draw. Just one thing worth noting, because it's a 250, the top 4 seeds all have buys through to the round of 16. And those top 4 seeds are Cerundolo, Ugo Carabelli, Baez, and Darderi. So Cerundolo will play Berrettini if it goes to seedings. Then we'll have Carabelli against Echeverry, but Q2 has Nicolas Jarry, former champion, in there as a wild card. Q3 will be Tabilo against Baez, but Tabilo has a tough opener. And Baez also has Busa is in that section as well, the young Peruvian who's been in great form. Comesana opens up against Martinez, a tough draw for him. And you've got Darderi also against Navoni, who also plays Caprifa, who's playing well as well. So looking at the draw, I think the top half, Cerundolo's against Berrettini, would probably be the easiest quarter, and Q2 rather than the bottom. I think the bottom half has got some dangerous floaters, and that's sort of rectified, sort of explained in the outright markets here. It's sort of reflected there. Francisco Cerundolo is the favourite at plus 370. Then we have Darderi at $6. Sebastian Baez has been in great form, plus 650. Matteo Berrettini is going to be too slow for him, $7. Thomas Martin Echeverry, $7. Comesana, $8. Ugo Carabelli, 10.5. Tabilo, 11, he's in action still in Rio. Busa, as I said, is in good form, the young Peruvian, 11. Nicolas Jarry, former champion, 17, home favourite. Christian Garin, another home favourite, 18. And then 20-1 bar. Those players, I think Cerundolo's got a fairly comfortable draw, but he's plus 370. Where do you see the value here?
Yeah, just looking at Q1, I feel like Cerundolo's probably had his moment in the Golden Swing in Buenos Aires, and it was a massive moment for him. How motivated is he now? You know, he's got Indian Wells and Miami upcoming, particularly Miami. He's gone very well in the past. Indian Wells, obviously a massive tournament as well. Had an injury last week. Unfortunately for us, we opposed him in the first match and he retired in the second match, which is kind of annoying. But, you know, with that bit beat up body, bearing in mind that, how's he going to get on this week? How's he going to fancy it this week? With Indian Wells so close, not so sure. I think Berrettini's got a chance in that quarter on that basis, just because of the altitude. You know, if we look at what he did on the clay in the spring and summer of 2024, he played 16 matches, 15 of them were at altitude, and he won 15, and the one he lost, strangely enough, was the one at sea level in Monte Carlo. 15 wins, 1 loss. Service points won and return points won, total of 111. 93% holds a serve, even 38% return points won. So we can't rule him out at all in these sort of conditions. Just got to wonder, is he still got that level of tennis in him from the summer of 2024? Not so sure. I'd be betting him at the price that he is, 7-1. I'm not sure about that, but he's certainly got chances there. Q2 is quite tricky, actually. You've got Ugo Carabelli, who's played a ton of tennis. Nicolas Jarry, who's not fit. He's split up with his coach. He's had a really injured elbow. He's only played 3 matches this year, lost all of them. So things aren't good for Nicolas Jarry at the minute. Echeverry's played a lot of tennis in Buenos Aires and Rio. Still hasn't finished in Rio. He's played a lot of tennis as well. So I think Q2 is quite difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe someone like Hanfman came through there because he likes these sort of conditions. But I'm not seeing a winner from Q2. Q3, I mean, Baez looks the obvious choice in Q3. He's unbelievable record here, 13 wins, 4 losses, 3 finals, won it in 2024. Hasn't overplayed so far on the Golden Swing with, poor performances, poor losses in Buenos Aires and Rio. The nerves hit him. Doesn't tend to be a factor for him here. Tabilo's the obvious other one, but he's played a ton of tennis as well, still playing in Rio. So is Busa. Garin's on. He hasn't been good for a little while due to injury. Sadly, his father died as well quite recently, very recently, in fact. And injuries have taken their toll on him. You wouldn't feel like he's going to do anything this week. But Q4 looks very good for the guy I'm going to take, which is Luciano Darderi. Again, not the biggest prize, but it does fit the trends. Pretty much all the winners have been in this sort of price that Darderi is in this tournament. Predictable loss for him in Rio that we bet against him, didn't we, in Rio? After he made that final in Buenos Aires on his birthday. No surprise that he didn't put much in Rio last week, but he'll be strong here. He's shown numerous times that he can win a lot of clay matches in a row, particularly when he won Borstad and Umag back-to-back last year in very slow conditions. He'll have got here early after that early loss that he had in Rio. And his serve, which is something I've mentioned many, many times. His first serve is underrated. It'll be a big, big weapon in these altitude conditions. He's won his last 3 against Baez, who will be seeded to meet in the semi-finals. 115-85 in service points won and return points won totals his last 3 matches against Baez. So he certainly had the call over him in recent times. So, again, perhaps not the most exciting of picks, but I think it's the solid choice, and it's Darderi at 6-1, a little bit of half a point each way, I think, here.
Yeah, Darderi 6-1 to win the tournament over in Chile, and that is our official play. So it's our 3rd official play on the week. 3 tournaments, busy week of tennis, and everything will be covered on the BetRivers app. Before we go, we have a couple of matches to discuss here as well. And our first match is an all-Chilean affair between Tabilo and Barrios Vera. I know that Tabilo is obviously still in action in Rio, which is obviously a distraction for him. And if you're looking at the head-to-head record of these 2 matches, Barrios Vera leads 2-1 on the head-to-heads. These 2 wins were in 2023 on clay. They met in this tournament last year, the year before last, and Tabilo won it. But Barrios Vera has given his fellow countrymen some problems in the past, and this could be a perfect time for him to place the highest seed. Minus 192 is the price for Tabilo. Barrios Vera is plus 142. Spread is 2.5. Total here is 22.5. So it's an interesting one here. I think the timing is absolutely perfect to face Tabilo here.
Yeah, I think with several of these matches in Santiago round 1, you need to have a look at what's going on in Rio with Echeverry, with Buse, with Tabilo, with Capriva. The rain delay there means they're still at the semi-final stage, and the forecast doesn't look particularly great either. So they could be stuck there a little while. So keep your eye on what's going on there. This looks like a nice situation developing for Barrios Vera here. The rain delays in Rio mean that Tabilo for now is stuck there. May have to play 2 matches in a day. Could be stuck there longer. And obviously the change in conditions from a heavy, humid, hot, sticky sea level event to thin air here at altitude in Santiago. It's not an easy adjustment. It's probably the main reason why a lot of dogs win in round 1 of Santiago, because of that adjustment that the players have to make in a very short space of time. When Tabilo does finally arrive, he's not going to have that much time to prepare. May also be fatigued depending on what happens. And Barrios Vera has beaten him actually 4 times from 5 if you include their lower level meetings. All the meetings at all levels. He's won 4 of their 5. The first 2 were both in Chile, actually, in futures, both in Chile. So beating him 4 times out of 5. The head-to-head, 103-97 across all those matches. Service points won and return points won totals in favour of Barrios Vera. Tabilo's only held serve 67% of the time against Barrios Vera. Barrios Vera has held serve 78% of the time. Tabilo winning just 43% of his second serve points. Barrios Vera 50%. Although it's not a recent head-to-head, some of those matches were, a long time ago. They will know each other very, very well. And Barrios Vera clearly knows how to play against Tabilo and should be confident, having won 4 of their 5. The other factor is, of course, that Barrios Vera will have had much more time to attune to the altitude conditions after his early exit in Rio. A little bit unlucky, lost a couple of tight sets to Berrettini, I think. He's been playing okay, but he's had some rough draws, Barrios Vera. Berrettini, Darderi, Prismic, those are his last 3 defeats. Very good players. I'm going to take a chance on Barrios Vera here in these circumstances. 3/4 of a point win. Barrios Vera on the money line, plus 142 with Bet Rivers.
Yeah, I think that price will contract as the day goes on. And head across to the Bergs website. Make sure you check out that order of play. We don't know again the schedule, but the conditions that Tabilo's playing over in Rio are going to hinder him here. Back-to-back matches and then coming here in the different conditions, as Sean said, it could be a good bet here for Barrios Vera. And I just think you want to get that on early. Our final match on our bumper show is the match between Francesco Comesana against Pedro Martinez. It's a battle between Argentina and Spain. Comesana is always a popular choice here whenever he's a big dog. He's not a big dog, he's a big favourite. He's minus $2 against the Spaniard. He's plus 148. Spread is 3.5. Total is 21.5. The usual markets are available. There is one previous head-to-head record. It's a recent one. Comesana beat Martinez in the Spanish capital, Madrid, in 2025 last year in straight sets. But we like Comesana at a big price. I don't think we'll be liking him at minus $2 here.
No, I'm not sure about this price at all. Minus $2. They were joint favourites when they met in that Madrid match, and Comesana won. I think we had him that day. Pretty sure we did. But it's a very different situation. Comesana was coming off a challenger final a few days prior, so he was in good form. And Martinez had lost 9 of his previous 12 coming into that Madrid match. So very different situation now. Comesana struggling. Won 2 of his 7 main level matches this year. Hasn't won a match on the golden swing at all yet. Martinez hasn't been in particularly great form either, but his record here in Santiago is very good. The altitude does help him get a bit more pace on his shots. It's a good situation for Martinez. He's got a 70% win rate at this tournament. Service points won and return points won, total of 102, and winning 41% of return points, which is not easy to do in thin air, clay at altitude. So very, very good performances Martinez has put in over the years at this tournament. Comesana has only played 3 matches here, only won 1 of them. Service points won and return points won, total of 97, and only winning 33.5% of return points at this tournament. Shows you how hard it is to return here. Returning is not his forte as much as it is Martinez's. I think the key battle here is going to be that Comesana first serve against the Martinez return. As I've said many times, Comesana got a very good first serve, and how well he serves here will be key, because going back to that Madrid match, which is also at altitude, Comesana only won 31.6% of second serve points that day, but 84% on first serve. And he served at 71% first serve points in that day. So he was massively relying on a very strong first serve and a high percentage of getting him in. Any drop from that sort of 71% level to around 50, 55, sort of 58% of first serves in, that's going to give Martinez a very big chance here, because Comesana's not in good form at all from the baseline. He's going to have to hope, Comesana, that he does a similar serving day to Madrid, i.e. sort of 65, 70 odd percent first serves in. If he doesn't, he's in for a tough time here. So I'm going to take half a point on this one. Martinez on the money line. I think that minus $2 is just a bit too short on Comesana here.
Yeah, Martinez on the money line as our final pick on what is a bumper week of tennis action. Before I go, remember that offer that you have with Bet Rivers on the Champions League. If you bet with Bet Rivers in New York or New Jersey, this is for you. You can take advantage of a Champions League bonus bet from Betting Weekly. Enter the bonus code BW216 for a $10 bonus bet to use on Champions League knockout round matches. That code again is BW216. And it's available to Bet Rivers bettors in New York and New Jersey. The offer ends on February 25th. You must be 21 or over. Eligible players only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPENY. Sean, a lot to recap. Give us all your official plays, please.
Yeah, I'll try and get this done quickly. Half a point on Martinez. Pedro Martinez on the money line against Comesana, plus 148 with Bet Rivers. 3/4 of a point on Barrios Vera to beat Tabilo. That is plus 142 with Bet Rivers. The outright is Luciano Darderi, half a point each way at 6-1. And then moving over to Acapulco, the outright was our good friend Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, half a point each way at 15-2 there. That's basically it for Acapulco, is it not? And then Dubai, where you're going to be. The outright there, you're going to be cheering on Andrei Rublev, He is a 10.5 to 1 shot, half a point each way on the outright there with Rublev. The match bets, couple of match bets, half a point ones. Popyrin to beat Majchrzak at -109 with Bet Rivers, and Zizou Bergs +109 with Bet Rivers to beat Brooksby there. Half a point on that one as well.
Remember, we have Sebastian Corda in action tonight. Hopefully we can cash a big ticket going into this week and the winner in Delray Beach. Myself and Sean will be back on Tuesday and Wednesday with all the best match bets across the 3 tournaments this week. And you can follow me on the socials at Because We Win while I'm over in Dubai for the week. As well as that, we have Betting Weekly WTA. Myself and Tim Dennis have been in great form. 4 winners already on the outright market this year after Pagula won last week as well at 10 to 1. And we've just recorded a show looking ahead to the 2 tournaments this week on the WTA. And we'll be back again on Monday looking at the best bets on the WTA. As well as that, we have Betting Weekly live Monday through to Friday, both AM and PM at 11 o'clock Eastern Time and 4 PM Eastern Time. It's the Champions League again, covering all those matches as well. So it's a busy, busy week here on the Betting Weekly Studios. Please hit the subscribe button. Join us in the fun. Hit the like button. Anytime you subscribe, you'll be notified of everything every time any new content drops. And don't forget that Betting Weekly offer. We have teamed up with Bet Rivers on the Champions League as well for a $10 bonus bet. Take care. Lot to get through. Have a good one.